a self-defense event happens in seconds. From the time it takes to listen to the commercial, your life could change forever. And I pray you never force to shoot in self-defense. But if you must, then you must be ready. That's why USCCA exists, because every responsibly armed American should have the training and education to navigate a self-defense situation. And should you ever need it, the 24/7 critical response team is right there for you. To discover more about the USCCA, visit uscca.com/GOR. Act now, because the life you save could be your own. uscca.com/GOR.
On the show, we're going to talk about After the Bell Rings, a situational awareness guide for kids coming up. Joe Drammissi's back in the studio. How you doing, man?
Oh, I'm doing great. Nice to be here for a little bit.
Well, it's nice to see you here, and you brought a special guest.
Hello, Nina Drammissi here as well.
Hi, Nina. How are you?
I'm fabulous.
It's even nicer to see you.
Why, thank you.
As nice as it is to see Joe, that's a huge compliment. And you guys are going to have a conversation with Ken Campbell from Gunsite, right?
Yes, we are. It should be interesting here today because, Ken's always a good, entertaining interview anyway, but he's out at just spent the week at the NRA conference, which is not what I want to talk to him about, but he's out there, so he'll probably have a lot to say.
Yep, I didn't go this year, but I'm seeing people post, and I guess it was good. Where was it? It was like Indianapolis?
Indianapolis, yeah.
Yeah. So.
Well, I bet it was entertaining because they had both Pence and Trump speak there, and so that was a little bit different. So I bet that was pretty interesting too.
Oh yeah, I didn't know that. Did they? They're both there.
Yeah, both there at the NRA.
Yeah, I didn't. I just read about it because Pence said his stuff, Trump said what he usually says. So there were cheers and boos and all sorts of stuff. I hear.
Are you? Oh, really? Are you thinking that those two don't get along anymore?
Well, Trump was always a little touchy because Pence didn't stop the confirmation of the vote.
Right. You got to wonder what happened though. Like, are they? I wonder if they're buds now, or if it's just like.
How Trump is. Trump said, "Yeah, well, he said Pence is a great man, a good man. I like him, but it was that kind
great
of thing."
Man,
and I think
Pence
is declared. Is that
hugely
right for 2024?
No,
I don't know if he's official, but he's considering running. So again, that would be one of Trump's competitors, I guess.
Interesting. Well, I wonder how it went. I went to a couple of NRA conventions. They're very interesting. They're cool.
If you had a TV, you'd have probably seen it because it was on TV.
Oh, really? I don't have a TV. So what do they? Where do they? What, like on C-SPAN or something, or where were they?
They're on Newsmax.
Oh, Newsmax broadcast from NRA.
I didn't watch it either because.
The most interesting. Actually, I'm sorry. Two of the most interesting speeches I've ever seen were at NRA conventions. And I've seen a lot of guest speakers.
Yeah.
One was I know we got to get to the around the horn, but real quick, one was Mike Huckabee. I saw him speak.
Yeah, he would be good.
He was fascinating. Like he's a guy. Like I don't know. It's probably about a 15-20 minute talk. 5-10 minutes into it, I realize I'm on the edge of my seat, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is fascinating. Yeah, it hurt a little bit. I scooted back, and it was a lot better. That was in Pittsburgh, and then I saw the other one is I don't even like this guy, but Glenn Beck was actually really interesting.
You don't like Glenn?
I don't. I think
little too.
Oh my God, he's so emotional. Like the last thing, it's like having a girlfriend on cable news. I mean, dude, like the sky is constantly falling with that guy.
Passionate is how we describe that.
Oh, I think he's a big whiny baby.
Okay, now tell us how you really feel.
I know.
You can do it.
But second most interesting speech I've ever seen. He actually talked about the history of a couple different guns. It was actually I absolutely am crystal clear on why people like him because he was very, very interesting, and I really enjoyed his
captivating.
Talk. Yeah, and just, the NRA conventions are actually very, very interesting in general. All right, so let's find out what's going on here in Southern California. Why don't we start with San Diego? Gail Raymer from San Diego County.
Sorry, no Gail today.
No Gail.
No Gail.
All right. Well, then forget it. Let's just not do the show.
Do you know what's happening in San Diego? Can you wing it?
Let me see if Gail still might call in. Let's go with Heather Hawk from Orange County Gun Owners, Executive Director Extraordinaire.
How's it going?
Fantastic, Heather. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. It's the sun's out. It's a great day today, so.
Up in Orange County, huh?
Yep. Nice and sunny in Orange County.
So talk to us. What's going on in Orange County? What do we need to know?
Well, this weekend we were at the Crime Survivor Superhero 5K walk run.
Wow.
My legs hurt because I did do run today, so they're feeling a little sore today. And then we swung by Elite CCW and firearms training. They got their 4-lane range open as part of their membership program, so they did a grand open and a ribbon cutting. Shout out to Evan Wang, one of our board members. He won the Mantis trigger pull competition there and got an Olight torch light. So
nice. I like Evan. Evan is just the absolute best in the whole world. Evan, if you're listening, thank you so much for being such a good dude and so involved in Orange County gun owners. You were such an amazing asset and benefit to that organization. Thank you.
Yeah, 100%. He's such a great board member and again, asset to the pack. So, and then next weekend we have a couple places we're going. So Saturday and Sunday, Ammo Brothers is having their Vendor Expo fundraiser event. So we will be there both Saturday and Sunday in Santa Ana. And then on the 23rd on Sunday, there's the Fallbrook Avocado Fest. That's actually going to be a triple pack
the triple threat,
event. So
the trifecta
exactly.
of pack events. San Diego, Inland Empire, and Orange are all going to be there.
Are you going?
Yep.
Yeah. The Avocado Festival?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Well, right across the street from the gun store up there.
Yeah.
Best barbecue.
Well, he owns that gun store.
I know.
Yeah.
And if you ask for the rib sandwich, they take all the bones out of a big hunk of pork ribs, makes a sandwich out of it.
Oh. What are you doing up
All
there
right,
without
I'm there.
inviting me?
Hey, because I know where my food's at.
Well, it's the avocado special, so I'm going to
That's
have some guacamole.
Guacamole.
Could you put guacamole on the rib sandwich? That would be good.
Anything would be good at this point. I'm starving. But that's another story. But that's a cool area up there. That's fantastic.
Awesome job, Heather.
What's the date again?
I'm sorry?
What's the date again?
That's Sunday the 23rd.
Okay, cool.
So the 23rd. And, of course, Gun Prom coming up May 20th.
Yeah.
Orange County Gun Owners.
Yep, we want to make sure everybody knows to get their tickets now. It's getting close, so don't wait. May 20th, doors open at 5:30. So go to gunprom.com and either sponsor a table or we do have individual tickets as well.
Gunprom.com. Thank you so much, Heather. Looking forward to Gun Prom. Okay, let's go to Carla in Inland Empire. Carla, how are you?
I'm doing good. Happy Sunday.
Happy Sunday. What's going on in the Inland Empire?
Well, we just spent yesterday and today at the San Bernardino County Crossroads of the West Gun Show. So we were out talking to people and signing up. Wasn't real busy, kind of slow. I think it's just because the weather's so nice and everybody's been cooped up inside for so long that everyone's just out having fun.
You think maybe all the gun owners were at Coachella?
I don't.
I'm sure there's a lot of overlap there, right?
There is, but I don't know really that our gun owners are big Coachella fans.
I think you might be right. Well, that's cool. All right, cool. You get a couple of new members, or talk to a bunch of people.
We didn't get any new members yet. We did talk to a couple of people who were interested. We did get some signups for the newsletter. Of course, we promoted our April 29th co-hosting town hall with Reform California. So hopefully we're increasing numbers for that attendance also. And then Wednesday we have our Riverside County CCW on Zoom and on Facebook Live. And also next Saturday, the 22nd, we have a tabletop at Patriotic Arms in Canyon Lake, and then just 2 doors down in the shopping center is where we're going to hold our monthly meeting at PZA Oven Fire Goodness.
Awesome. Thanks.
How often do you see a teenager with their head buried in their phone, totally oblivious to what's going on around them? Far too often. After the Bell Rings is a situational awareness and safety guide for adolescents. Firearms trainer, Second Amendment advocate, and author of the book, Bill Dolby, is up next.
But if you own a gun in California, you should have an attorney that specializes in California gun laws on your speed dial. Because if you ever have legal matters that involve firearms, you need California's firearm lawyer, John Dillon. Especially if you have questions about red flag laws, gun registration, gun transportation, or maybe you just need to know that your guns are California compliant. Our trusted firearms attorney is John Dillon. John Dillon specializes in California gun laws. Put his number on your phone right now. That's 760-642-7150. That's John Dillon's California Firearm Lawyers, 760-642-7150.
So next we're going to talk about After the Bell Rings, Situational Awareness for Teens. Bill Dalpy wrote a book about it, and we wanted to talk to him a little bit more about it. Bill, you there?
I am. How are you?
Good, man. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic here. Boy, you guys were talking about barbecue and avocados and guns, and boy, you have me.
That's the only downside to this show. We all leave here starving.
We do always end up talking
We
about
talk
food.
a lot about food.
Wrap a little bacon in there and you got it.
Yeah.
Oh.
Where are you from, Bill? Where you're not from San Diego?
No, the commute would have been a little long for me. I'm in Massachusetts. So
Massachusetts.
otherwise I'd be there.
Yeah. Right. Okay, awesome. So tell us about the book. What got you excited to write this book?
It's kind of a little bit of a backstory. I'll make it very short. We live in a little bedroom rural community, 13,000 people, and there was a 15-year-old boy who was, we'll just call it abducted. He was lured into the proverbial van and come to find out it had to do with drugs. But that didn't sit right with me. It really bothered me how, a 15-year-old boy at that point, they should be aware enough, to avoid those situations. So I had approached the school committee, actually the superintendent and assistant superintendent. And at the time I was teaching the Refuse to be a Victim, that NRA program.
Yeah, sure. Very familiar.
Yes. So I figured, let me approach them with this program, at the time. So I brought the student packet. I brought the promotional pamphlet that goes with it. And the superintendent was actually getting really excited about it. He's like, wow, we can include this in our criminal justice program. And I'm getting really excited. I'm already parsing out, what we can teach these students and not. And then the assistant superintendent flipped over the promotional card and tell me what 3 letters that she sees.
Yeah, NRA.
NRA. And she immediately said, ooh, I don't think the parents will like this. And I quickly reminded her that it has nothing to do with guns and it's about awareness concepts. And they refused the whole thing. And
they refused to be a victim.
You got it. You got free education, free materials, just flat out refused it. So that fueled the writing of this book. I didn't stop till it was completed. To give just what the tagline says, to give kids the tools they need to stay safe. So that's how it started.
That's interesting. What happened was the 15-year-old okay?
Yep. That
Good.
Turned out okay. Yep.
Good. Was that somebody you knew or just something that was in the papers?
No, just something hits close to home. It was right in our neighborhood. So,
That's terrifying.
Yeah. And it looks like a quick read. It's not super big. I love the fact that the letters are not, I'm not saying I can't read, but, it looks like a quick read. And I think you did a good job in presentation because, I think if it would have been any thicker or any bigger, maybe someone wouldn't pick it up, but anybody could pick that up and knock that out in a day or two.
Yeah, and it's meant for kids. It's written for an 8th grade level.
I knew that's why I liked it. I knew it.
So did you, what kind of, so you were already certified to teach Refuse to be a Victim. Talk a little bit about your background. What kind of Second Amendment stuff or what kind of gun instruction were you involved with, or how did you get interested in this?
In the book, this whole round, I own Patriot Farm School and Defense here in Rehoboth, Mass, and we teach everything. It's not just licensing classes; it's awareness for adults too. I have a custom class called Before You Carry and Defend, which everything you need to know before you decide to have a gun staged in your home or carrying one out and about, right? Because we know that's a problem. People get a license, they strap on a gun, they think they're good, right? So that's a big problem. So. And everything in between, defensive, pistol, shotgun rifle, you name it, we do it all. But this, the After the Bell Rings just really has a place. And here's the thing. It was always meant for parents to read it and then say, hey, Johnny, why don't you read, the first chapter, and now let's see how these things pertain to our own routine, our own life, right? So just having a kid read a book the first time or attend one of our seminars just once is not going to do the job, right? They need constant reinforcement on these methodologies and techniques and just the wherewithal to to be aware. And there's two levels to this book. And we subsequently released an instructor program, which comes with a very robust PowerPoint and actually has some topics that are in the second book that's I'm halfway through. But it's meant for parents, guardians to reinforce in their everyday lives. And the two levels, like stranger danger, like you mentioned, the phone, that should be real obvious stuff and reinforced every day. But there comes a time when your child is going off to scouts, you name it, dance or whatever, where they're alone, right? So where they're around other adults, other parents, other kids, but the direct guardians aren't there. So to me, it's extremely important that the kids have some ownership in their own personal safety, not to be alone with an adult, and that could even mean family members, right? Uncle Johnny, who, when the kid was small, didn't know that maybe, he did something bad and did some jail time. And now, you have to have a conversation with the child to say, hey, look, if Uncle Johnny wants to get you alone, don't do that,
I was a kid in the 80s, and that's when all this started kind of kicking off was, the stranger danger and don't get into a car with strangers and that sort of thing. I mean, we spent the entire 80s terrifying kids, making them terrified to go outside, talk to strangers, be alone, anything. It never stopped me. I was always out, screwing around and doing whatever and doing things I probably shouldn't have. But what do you think is the state of affairs of things? Are abductions worse than they were? Are they better? Is it not as common? Did we blow it up too much in the 80s? Or, what's the current state of affairs?
Well, I just think with social media, and how communications just, wildfires through the interwebs. And I think there's just more awareness of it. I think it was always there. There's some adults that I've talked to that, whatever leadership position took advantage of them, whether they sexually molested them or so I think it's always been there. As far as the increase in it, I really can't speak to that. I really don't have, it's not my realm of expertise, the psychology and the sociology part of that.
Just seems like the tools and the access portals are different.
I think that's probably, that just occurred to me too, rather than, Boy Scout leaders and priests and guys in white vans. Now it's just, somebody online.
Yeah.
Right. Yep. Yeah,
how many groups did I just anger right there, right?
Send
all your emails.
1-800 Michael, 1-800
like
Michael.
It didn't happen. I mean, come on. Anyway.
But we'd rather have you take the heat.
Yeah, well, fine.
Those types of people are in every realm, right? Not just, priests and scouts, but it could be coaches, other parents.
It could be anybody. It could be your relative.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Yep. So how long has the book been out? How long have you been doing this?
I think about 6 years now. It's been out. It's something, I have a very bad habit of developing something and just moving on to the next thing and not promoting it. And, so that's kind of, that's kind of where this, fell.
Well, do you have like a kind of a cool, do you have a story? Do you have a cool success story? Has anything, has anyone circled back and said, oh man, I can't believe this, anything like that? Not so much that yet, but I do have parents that come up to me and say, wow, I actually learned something from reading this book, and I'm like, well, that's good. It's a little troublesome, but that's good.
Yeah.
If somebody gets the book and the parent reads it and the kid reads it, and like you said, they go back and reinforce some things, I know that your life isn't going to change if you just read the book once. Like you said, you have to kind of implement some of these things. But if they do all those things, if they do talk about it and they do reinforce some things from the book, what's an example of how a kid's daily life will change, or what's an activity that'll change, or what's a behavior that they're going to do differently if they read this book and follow some of the tips?
Yeah, that's a great question. So, low-hanging fruit, would be not having your face buried in your phone. That seems to be the biggest attention grabber out there. I've witnessed people crossing parking lots, kids crossing parking lots with their head in their phone and not looking up. So that's an obvious, easy one. Don't be alone with an adult. That's some of the other topics. I have short stories in this. And before I go there, I developed a little mechanism or a little methodology called the trust ring. Mm-hmm. And it frames, and I think in a logical way, how kids should place trust in others, right? And it's based on its color codes, kind of like Cooper's color codes of awareness. I think kids relate to colors, and so that to me goes a long way in reinforcing their everyday interactions with people. So if a coach asks the child for the phone number, say, well, why don't you have my parents' phone number, right? Because in my opinion, there's no coach, adult leader, priest, whatever, that should have a minor's phone number. That, to me, that's a big red flag.
Isn't that surprising? Whenever you read these stories about whatever, a teacher, a coach, something like that, and they talk about how they were sending texts back and forth, I can't even fathom that.
No.
With having that kind of relationship with any kind of authority figure back when I was a kid. But anyway.
Yep.
Orange County Gun Owners is dedicated to preserving and restoring Orange County and self-defense rights. If you live in Orange County and want to help defend and restore the Second Amendment, you need to join OCGunOwners.com/join. Orange County Gun Owners is the Do Something organization to restore and defend the Second Amendment. Volunteer at a shooting social, at a gun shop and tabletop, and help more pro-gun local officials get elected. Save the date. Orange County Gun Prom is May 20th, and become a member today. OrangeCountyGunOwners.com. That's OCGunOwners.com/join.
We're talking to Bill Dalpy, who's the author of After the Bell Rings, Situational Awareness for Teens. Bill, it was interesting. You said that one of the reasons you put this curriculum out is you tried to promote some NRA curriculum, and they were nervous about the NRA.
It had nothing to do with firearms.
Had nothing to do with firearms. They just didn't like the fact that the NRA had their name on it. And I found that is, NRA used to be a positive. They were the experts. If they said it, then it was important and true and trusted and tried. And now it's like you almost have to apologize. Like the name has really become not so much an asset, but almost a detriment. And I'm just curious, what are your thoughts on it? I think what you've done is the way to get around it, or the way to combat that is, all right, well, then let's just put out our own curriculum, put some other, branding on it, which is, I think what you've done here is probably better than what you were proposing to them. But what are your thoughts on that? Was as far as the NRA's name, being a little tarnished?
That's a complicated question, and that can go in a few different directions. But we'll keep it to the education and training. I think that this program, and I'm sure there's others out there, cater more to the demographic of kids, where the refuse to be a victim's just kind of like for young adults. But yeah, the NRA, we know how the world's going, right? Everyone's in their camp, and you mentioned NRA, it just has a stigmatism now, and stigmata, and it's I don't know, it's not right, and we know what it's all about, but it's there, right? So I've, in that vein, that same thought, I own a school, Patriot Farm School and Defense. And I give free seminars centered around my book. And I would talk to a group, whether it be a church group, scout group, and I would give them my card to say, reach out and let's schedule a time. And they seen Patriot Firearms School and Defense and like, oh, wait. What are we teaching the kids? I'm like, we're teaching them the content from After the Bell Rings. And I had a couple youth groups refuse because I own a firearms school. And that's ludicrous, right? So that goes in that same vein, right? People hear firearm and they just immediately shut down, and it's too bad. And so what I did was I separated After the Bell Rings from my school totally. It has its own web address. I have separate cards for it. It's just totally separate because of that reason. Yeah.
I don't even, and I don't know, and that's the right thing to do. I don't know if we should even fight that. I think that's the right thing to do. Okay, well, then here, let's do it this way. As long, it's kind of that old. I think it's usually credited to Ronald Reagan. Something along the lines of, it's amazing what can get accomplished if we don't care who gets the credit or whatever. And that's kind of what you're doing. It's all right, fine. Here, let's brand it this way. As long as the information gets out there, as long as the right people learn the right things, fine, whatever. We can brand it any way you want. I don't think I don't think fighting it. I don't think that pushing back against their pushback is fruitful. So I think what you've done is wonderful.
Well, it's like selling a car. If you don't address all their negativities to buy the car, they won't buy the car. But if you turn around and either change the color, put a different set of wheels on, or whatever the case may be, okay, are you happy? Is this the car you want? Yeah, that's right. I like it. And I think that's what you've done. Probably didn't do it in that manner, but you figured they weren't going to bite, so you better do whatever it takes, because the message is what's important. It's not the delivery, it's the message.
It's the content, right? And this book is just where it starts, right? This book is meant as a catalyst to really ingrain these things in kids, these concepts in kids. And it bothers me when people, I'll tell you, I approach my same school system, new superintendent, new assistant superintendent, over the summer. And this fall, they refused it. They want nothing to do with it. And it leaves me scratching my head. So I have instructors now I have an instructor program centered around the book. And there's a very robust PowerPoint, and it comes with certificates and other things. And that's how, we're kind of getting the message out by other people delivering this. And I'll mention it here. I haven't said it to too many people, but it's my plan to make this a .org so that everything's free. The books, the content, that's where I want to go with it.
That's a great idea. Where do people... How do people typically hear the book, and how do they purchase it these days?
They can do it through my firearms school, but again, it's a separate web address. It's atbrbook.com.
atbrbook. atbrbook.com. They can purchase it there.
After the bell.
Right.
Yep. Right. After the bell rings. Yeah, it's short for that. Yep. Yeah, and I suggest anyone who wants to teach this, just get a book first and read it. When you get the buy-in, then we can talk about becoming an instructor. And there's no instructor program per se. If you're currently a USCCA instructor, if you are currently front-facing kids, whether you're a teacher, a scout leader, religious education teacher, 4-H, you name it, as long as you're delivering content to kids in some other way, you can teach this, because we made the notes of the PowerPoint so thorough that, we don't suggest reading them, but you could just read it and deliver the message to the kids. It's all in the ability of the instructor, how you can come across to kids. But we know how kids listen, right? So it can be a challenge sometimes. Yeah.
That's amazing. That's very, very cool. By my asking, do you have kids?
Well, yeah. Yep.
Nice.
I have a son. Well, my oldest daughter, she's in town here. She's going to post-grad soon. She's 23. My son is in parts unknown. He's actually stationed not too far from you. And my son Alex, he's 17. My son Alex has Dravet syndrome. It's a form of epilepsy, and he's home. He's 17. Yep. Yep.
I mean, I'm going to state the obvious. It's tough raising kids, especially these days.
Sure.
And,
absolutely.
And any assistance, any help. It's almost surprising to hear that, kids do have to be aware. It seems like all they do is sit there and look at their phones on the couch in the living room. I mean, do they leave the house anymore? Do they need to be aware? Or, I mean,
it's not just kids.
It's everybody.
Not just kids. I would hope that through your book that parents may come across, or it may be introduced in some way or fashion to kids, and that the parents, by way of the student picking it up, that the parents will also get involved and learn, because there's so many adults that don't understand this, that have no situational awareness. It's not just the kids.
I agree. And look, that's when anything gets learned at home, something like this reinforced, Yeah. And I'll tell you, Gavin DeBecca, right? His books, The Gift of Fear, which that's #1 book I recommend in my Before You Carry and Defend class. But another book he wrote is Protecting the Gift of Fear. And that book is all geared towards parents to say, hey, look, quit, get your kids out of a bubble, right? And make them a little responsible for their own personal safety. Like, for instance, one thing I love in his book, he says, don't teach your kids not to talk to strangers. That's about the worst thing you can do. Have your kids learn your phone number, your address, and have them find, not so much a police officer or not a male, but a woman who has kids, right? So if you're lost and you approach a woman who has kids, she's probably not going to arrest until she finds a parent. So I think that's
I just saw a video where a kid was being followed, and so he ducked into a store and spoke with a woman who was running the store, and boom, man, she sprung into action.
That's great. Yeah, that's a success. Yeah.
It's almost like the whole mentality, like Mike had mentioned, the whole stranger danger. It's almost like it's taught us to fear, and through fear, we've lost a backbone. It's people that don't have. Instead of being aware, they stay internal more. It's like they fear everything, so therefore they close up.
Yeah, and look, a lot of parents don't want to convey and talk about the world like this, right? They don't want to scare their kids, but they're doing them a great disservice by not bringing this stuff up, And I have to say again for the third time, like even the uncle, the aunt, the cousin who you shouldn't be alone with, because a lot of these assaults, especially to young women, happen to people that from people that they know.
Yeah, the majority.
And it's so uncomfortable. That's such an uncomfortable because now what you're doing is you're kind of taking the naiveness away from the kid, right? And you're educating them to real world stuff. But it has to happen. There has to be a point where you give the kids the tools to stay safe. I mean, that's why that tagline is there.
So I would bet that we have a lot of grandparents listening to us. If you're a grandparent and you're listening to us, this would be a really great gift to get your kids and their kids. This would be a fantastic. And now's the time to do it. Like right now, don't give it to them for Christmas, They want, it'll get lost in the clutter. Right now is the time.
Or birthday.
Or a birthday, it'll get lost in the clutter. Do it off season. Do it off season.
Yeah.
Now's the time to do it right now. Get your kids and their kids this book. I think that would be a fantastic thing to do for them.
And with kids today, read it. I'll give you $10. I'll give you a test. And if you pass the test, you can get the $10.
There you go.
Well, what's fun too is playing the situational awareness game, right? So there's stories in back of the book. Now you can, when you're out and about at a movie theater or a mall, or say, hey, who are they being aware, and have the kids say, oh no, because of this, and great, So it gives them a way to observe, which is a great thing to do in public, right? We want to be observing, and it kind of reinforces the concepts.
Alicia, would you describe yourself as situationally aware most of the time?
I would say so.
Yeah, me too. I'm like borderline paranoid, man. I swear. Well, cool, man. Thank you so much. What a great interview. What a great book. Give us the website one more time.
It's atbrbook.com. And thank you guys very much. I appreciate it.
All right. Hey, you already got one request. I had to take a picture of the book and sent the cover and the inside cover to her. So.
Thank you, Bill. I'll be reaching out to you for that instructor.
Job well done. Hey, did you know we have a world-class flight training school right here in San Diego?
What?
That's right, we do. Pilots can fly almost every single day, which makes San Diego one of the best places to learn how to fly in the world. Learn to fly with San Diego Flight Training International. Check out these deals just for Gun Owners Radio. 1 hour of ground flight. That's 1 hour of flight. Actually, fly with an instructor. Normally $400, you get it for $350. Getting started is super easy. 858-569-1822. Or just fly with STFTI or F858-569-1822.
Very awesome. All right, so we're doing a curtain call, aren't we?
Mm-hmm. Looks like it.
I can't read that.
I can't either.
I think you're trying to give me a message. I'm not wearing my glasses.
Just talk. Just say something.
So, I don't know if you saw it, Dave, before we get into our curtain call.
Are we getting into our?
But I think I angered the motorcycle community on Facebook.
Oh, I can't even imagine why.
Couldn't believe it.
You need an Uber driver.
Why do I need an Uber driver?
Just what did they do?
Everything. Every
what
time
did
I'm on
they
the
do?
freeways.
What did they do that irritates you the most?
In one drive the other day, before I fell out of my pants and put this post on Facebook.
Yeah.
There were two guys on crotch rockets
that
were weaving in and out of
traffic.
We were trying to, we were on an on ramp. They're weaving in and out. They caused the car to have to, swerve, and then no sooner we get on the freeway, these guys disappeared. Two other motorcycle guys are, doing the exact same thing in traffic. I'm like, you know what? I've had it. I used to be Mr. Mr.
Congeniality.
Well, no, I was never Mr. Congeniality. But I used to, motorcycles, they represent freedom and whatever. Now I'm like, you know what?
They abuse it like everybody else abused. They're coming out of Camp Pendleton.
Yeah.
12 Marines on crotch rockets.
Yeah.
3 held back and blocked traffic.
Yeah.
While the rest of them got up on their back wheel and screamed all the way to the next exit.
You know
it's what they do.
You know what it is, though, to me, is...
You're getting old. You're getting like your dad. And when he comes here,
I swear, they don't get their motorcycles off my front lawn.
That's exactly right. Because I've been doing it all week, and I got to get out of it.
It's enormously...
rude.
It's enormously arrogant, rude. You're putting people, and I'm honestly thinking of all the other people. You're putting other people in danger. Other people are, this lady had to swerve, and now she's scared. And whatever.
Nobody could drive.
So it's not me. I guess,
got upset with a guy that was eating his breakfast with the fork upside down. Okay, so I know exactly what you're talking about.
That's exactly right there.
I know, and I watched him go. I watched him eat every single bite, and I just wanted to get out of the chair and smack him. But motorcycle, I know that's what they did.
So what did you do that upset? You just posted your
feelings?
Just
I posted my feelings. That's
yeah,
exactly
he did. He posted his feelings.
When you put it like that.
He went Glenn Beck.
I don't know if I posted my I did not go Glenn Beck.
No, you didn't go Glenn Beck. You didn't put your license plate on there, so they don't know to come hunt you down. But
I just said, that's it. I've had it. I'm done.
So are you going to get red flagged because of this? These
hostile
postings.
He didn't give enough. If he'd have said I got my 357 Magnum,
no, good Lord,
no, then you would have been black. You would have been flagged.
Wasn't anything close to that. It was just like, hey, you guys are jerks.
You were right on the edge.
I was not on any edge.
You were ready to jump over.
Well, anyway.
License plate 279
make those guys
JLT.
nervous on Facebook.
I don't think I made them nervous. There is this attitude. Here's what really
Here comes
the crux of it. There's this attitude from motorcycle riders where they say they have to ride that way.
Yes.
Look, we have to be aggressive and do whatever because everybody else on the road is dangerous, so we have to ride this way. I'm calling total BS on that.
I know.
I'm calling BS on that, and I think that's a dangerous attitude.
It's a total dangerous attitude.
I think the other thing,
How about lane splitting?
I'm fine. Okay, so I'm all for lane splitting, but there isn't part of the law you can only go like 10 miles an hour more.
Your uncle gave it 50.
What do you mean 50?
50 mile an hour. You can lane split at 50 miles an hour.
No, I thought it was 10 miles an hour more than traffic.
No. It used to be.
Yeah.
And then your uncle.
So I'm all for lane splitting, but I'm not for I'm going to do
Have you ever seen
100.
anybody clip a mirror at 50 while everybody else was going 5? I did. It was the coolest thing I ever seen. This is a base commander on a Beamer with those big metal boxes, and he bounced off these cars. Boink, 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 boink. Fell over, got up, wham back, got his back. Couldn't go get him because we were all bumper to bumper, and took off.
I'm fine with lane splitting. I'm not okay with lane splitting dangerously.
Yeah.
So I think maybe that's the most accurate way.
No, I was going up to 52 on a full dress Harley.
No.
Almost got hit 3, 4. So I jumped over in the bike lane. Next thing I know, I had a siren. I stopped. The cop gets out. He says, "What are you doing?" I says, "Trying to get home." "Why?" "What are you doing in the bike lane?" I said, "This is a bike." He says, "You want a ticket?" I says, "No." I says, "The only way I'm going back out there is if you go first and I go behind you." He goes, "Really? Trust me. You go first, I'll go behind you, and I'll stay over there." And we did.
And it worked.
Because these people they don't look, they don't see. The cages.
So that's the thing, Dave. The old me
Yeah.
would have been like, yeah, we need to be more sensitive to motorcycle riders and we need to be more aware. Not anymore, man. You guys
What do you feel about
fend for
bicyclists?
yourselves.
What do you feel about bicyclists? Run up the 101 sometime.
With or without a little basket on the front.
It does. No, the ones that look like they're decked out like a box of Crayolas.
Yeah, I don't know.
And they think they own the road. They run the stoplights and they run the red lights.
Well, I mean, what you're describing, I obviously don't like. But I don't think
Go over on the coast.
I don't think I wake up early enough to run into those people.
Yeah, I do.
When are they doing their thing?
In the morning, early.
Like on a weekend, right?
You only want to upset one group at a time here, though. Right?
Yeah, because there's a lot of people.
That's the other thing. That's the other old man thing I've done in like the last year and a half is I don't go do stuff.
That's the only thing.
Well, it's one of the other, but I don't go do, I tend to work on weekends now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So
There's too many darn people out there, you know?
Alaska's got your day.
The last thing I do is go to a grocery store on a weekend. Oh, my gosh.
Can you imagine?
People touching me and, ugh, get out of here.
I went to the grocery store and then my wife showed up. I go, "What are you doing here?"
You guys both just happened to go to the grocery store at the same time?
Yeah, we left breakfast, and I didn't tell her I was going, and she didn't tell me she was going. So I go, "What do you – go away. Go get back in your car. Go home. What do you need?" Because she was standing right in front of the cottage cheese. She says, "I can't find the cottage cheese." Yeah. I go, "It's right there. Go home. I'll bring home whatever you want." Because she doesn't shop. Right. Never.
What are we doing? Are we doing a curtain? Are
we
we ready?
We have one.
Oh, we still doing it? Is she back?
We are. We're back. So today's article and a current call is that there's an article, and ironically enough, you mentioned the Uber. It has to do with an Uber driver. He happened to be a father of 2 young children, and he was shot and killed by passengers that he had picked up in his vehicle. So what I wanted to kind of have a moment talking about is anybody who has driven or worked for any of those services like Uber, Lyft, or Uber Eats, all those, as part of your contract, you sign that you will not carry. They have a policy against it. And I just was wanting to kind of have a little discussion about...
Do they still have that policy?
As far as I know, they do. Now, legally speaking, if you have a concealed carry permit, are you breaking any laws? No.
No.
Absolutely not. If you get caught, could they be upset with you? Yes. Could they cancel your contract? Absolutely. But are there any legal ramifications? No. And I know that I can only imagine that there are likely going to be a number of Uber, Lyft, et cetera, drivers out there that break their contracts secretly and carry. And I don't know how you guys feel about it, but I don't blame them.
I am 100% against breaking laws. Mm-hmm. I am 100% in favor of breaking policies.
I'm not surprised.
I encourage that thoroughly.
Absolutely.
So if it's Uber's policy.
So what's worse than losing your job with Uber or losing your life?
Absolutely. Exactly what it comes down to.
But then the problem with that is, what's the legal ramifications?
Oh, there's no legal.
Legal? No.
Yeah, you're not breaking a law.
There's no law. It's
Okay.
basically a request that your employer makes that they wish and desire you not to carry. It's the same thing with the gun-free zones. Currently, every grocery store, movie theater, and shopping mall, they don't necessarily sign it or flag it here in San Diego, but they're gun-free zones.
Supposed to be.
You're not going.
Not when I'm there.
They just put a bomb under the back seat. So the minute he pulls this guy, just go. And he's gone.
So, these places that make these requests, there is within those gun-free zones, there is no law that forces you to comply. Government properties, that's different. We're not
but if
talking
they
about
tell
those.
you to leave,
if the
occupant tells you to leave, like if you go into a restaurant and it says a gun-free zone and you've got a gun on you.
If they catch you.
Well, no, if the shirt falls back and they see it, and then you have to leave if they tell you to leave.
Right.
If
Otherwise
you
you're
don't,
trespassing.
then because otherwise, yes, then you're considered trespassing
Correct.
with a firearm,
Okay.
and that's where there's some legal trouble.
I just
But-
wanted to clarify just in case somebody was out
So
there.
Right.
if Uber fires you because you're carrying a firearm, how did they find out? If they found out because you defended and saved your own life, who cares?
Right.
Absolutely.
But if they found out some other way, probably your fault.
you didn't
And
conceal
plus,
well enough.
guess what? They just did you a favor. So go find a real job, make a good living, and never have to be afraid.
And there's
of getting
another
shot.
group.
Yeah, there's always another group. Where the show off air is so much better.
Brittany's making fun of me for being an old man. Apparently she's listening, and I'm getting
Oh,
messages. She's making fun of
because
me.
you're bagging on a motorcycle.
That's,
Hey,
yeah,
Brittany.
she said, I ride motorcycles.
So there's your, I told you, you're in trouble. And she corrected us. It's 10 miles over 30 miles an hour, as fast as you can go.
Yeah. I
But
knew it was some
the
kind of
traffic
time.
has got to go 30. But originally it was 50. So
No.
they must have adjusted it before it
Well,
got to the
in
man's desk.
practice, it's about 100.
Well, no, I get. Well, no, I get it. And then the fact that when somebody is coming up, you just move over a little bit, and that shows courtesy, which you will never do.
I don't show courtesy anymore.
Inland bar owners strive to be the ounce of prevention in the fight for your gun rights. How do they do it? They do it by fundraising and getting local pro-gun candidates elected. Become a member today. Go to IEGunowners.com/join and join the growing number of responsible gun owners stepping up to defend our Second Amendment rights. That's IEGunowners.com/join.
Gun Owners Radio Range Day on April 23rd. Next week, there are only 4 spots left. So if you are a 10-ring member, it's only $20. If you're not a 10-ring member, it's $100. And if you want to become a 10-ring member, now's the time to sign up so you can come to this really cool Gun Owners Radio Range Day. Shoot outdoors, shoot on steel, move and shoot in the Grove. You're going to be able to shoot cool stuff from Franklin Armory and Ex Nihilo. And Gunfighter Tactical will also have some demo products there. So you can shoot some of their PCCs and an AR pistol, all kinds of really cool, fun things to do. Subscribe and win. Our winner this week is H. Skip Wetson. Congratulations. I'm not going to read your email over the air, but I hope I got your name right. So we're going to email you and tell you how to get your cool prize. So if you want to win, go to Gun Owners Radio, subscribe to our newsletter. We'll keep you up to date on all the really cool things that Gun Owners Radio is doing. And, so, hey, we have a cool call-in guest, Ammo Brothers Summer Vendor Expo. Sean Redmond, who is the COO of Ammo Brothers. Are you on the line?
Yes, I am.
How you doing, man?
Doing excellent. Thank you, gentlemen, for having me.
Thank you for having an expo. How cool is that? What? Tell us a little bit about it.
So we decided to do something a little bit different this year. Instead of just running a normal sale, we decided to have a fundraising event and a training event for our consumers.
That's
so
awesome.
fundraising, obviously, OC Gun Owners is going to be there.
Yeah.
CRPA will be there, and Ducks Unlimited will be there.
Nice.
And we are also going to be having a lot of training going on, presented by the manufacturers and trainers from professionals in the industry, such as Vortex Optics and Magpul, are going to be up on stage training consumers how to use certain categories of products.
That's awesome. Wow, very cool. I'm glad you get. I love these little things. I think they're really cool when shops do exactly what you just said. You know, so rather than do a sale, we're going to do something cool to bring the community together. Everybody has fun. It sounds like yours is you're going to be able to see some cool stuff and learn some cool stuff, which is very, very cool. I think that's great. That's very cool. What? So when is it and where do people go?
So it's going to be on April 22nd and 23rd, so next Saturday and Sunday, next weekend. Regular store hours, so 10 to 6 on Saturday, 10 to 4 on Sunday. It's going to be at our Santa Ana location, which is our largest location, also has the largest parking lot, so parking is not going to be an issue for anybody. And it's going to be a really, really big event. We have over 50 manufacturers being represented.
Wow.
Also on Saturday, we're going to have a gentleman that is a veteran. We wanted to support our veterans. He owns Semper Fi Barbecue and Catering. He's going to be there with his barbecue smoker, and he's going to be selling some food there. And then on Sunday, we have the In-N-Out truck coming where you can grab your burger and support our great vendors as well.
In-N-Out has a truck?
And
I
then
have a beautiful truck.
What?
Oh, yeah. It's awesome. You can invite that thing to almost any of your events.
Oh, I need that truck.
We're going to do a remote.
Just to get the in and out.
Just to get the
truck.
In-N-Out burger.
Well,
There you
cool,
go.
Sean.
We'll be there on Sunday.
I think that's
11 to
very,
3
very cool.
Sunday.
And if they want any more information, what's your website?
So our website is ammobros.com, and there is a banner up right now on the website that gives you the basic information. Also, if you follow us on our social media, Instagram is at ammo_bros. Ammo Bros social media has a lot of information on it. Also, Ammo Brothers Facebook has a lot of information. Some of the top headlines for the event is there's going to be over $30,000 in raffle prizes.
Wow.
The first 250 customers on Saturday are going to get a free gift bag.
Wow.
Yeah, and there's going to be tons of stuff, up to about $200 in gift bags, in each one. So it's, not everyone's going to get $200 worth of stuff, but there's going to be some optics in there from both Vortex and HoloSun. In those gift bags, there's going to be a lot of eyes and ears, not only from Ammo Brothers, but Smith & Wesson gave us a bunch of eyes and ears kits, for safety for our customers. Like I said, we're going to have those on-stage seminars from industry professionals. Vendors are going to be doing giveaways in their booths. They're going to be giving out coupons, which you can use in the store. They're going to be doing individualized product training. Real Avid's going to be there teaching people how to take apart their firearms and clean them and care for them properly. Like I said, we're going to have over 50 manufacturers represented. And then there's going to be other information there, CCWs. If you're interested in how to get your CCW, you can find that information out there. Places to go shooting locally. And if you want to do long distance, that information is going to be there. And like I said, there's just a lot of really great prizes going to be had.
That's cool, man.
Hey, Sean, where are you located?
Santa Ana, California.
Okay.
So right in the heart of OC, off the 55 freeway, just north of the 405.
Okay, so if you just put in Ammo Brothers,
Ammo Bros,
and you'll be able to get to your website and then hit the map, and the map will tell you where you're at and how to get there.
Yep, Ammo Bros Santa Ana. If you'd like the address, it's 1554 Brookhollow Drive.
What are you looking forward to most?
I'm looking forward to the food most, personally.
There you go.
Probably the barbecue, right?
Absolutely. I love me some good barbecue.
Yeah,
That's
you
cool,
can always
Sean.
get in and out.
Well, thank you so much for doing this. Thank everybody. Thank your whole crew. You guys are always so nice and generous and supportive, so thank you. And thanks for inviting Orange County gun owners. I know that they're looking forward to it. They're going to have a booth there, and that's awesome. Anything else that you want folks to know?
I think that's about it. Like I said, it's a family-friendly environment. We're going to have a BB gun shooting gallery there, so there's going to be some fun on top of the education and on top of the prizes.
Very cool.
Can't ask for anything better than that.
Yep.
And on top of that, a big sale.
There you go. That's the reason to go.
Yep, lots of reasons, but we wanted to make it more than just a sale. Everybody has a sale. We wanted something different.
Mike's coming for the brisket.
But stay.
There will be brisket.
Come for the brisket. Stay for the In-N-Out.
There you go. All right, buddy. Hey, thanks a lot. It was awesome.
Thank you guys for having me.
Uh-huh.
See you, Sean.
We'll
Thanks,
see you
man.
next weekend.
You're going, aren't you?
I'm going. Totally going.
Of course you're going. Got four-wheel drive.
I think, yeah. You think I'll need it?
Hey,
Santa Ana?
Santa Ana.
May not need it getting there, but getting out.
Yeah, maybe getting out.
I think I am. I got to figure out which day, though. I think we got a couple things going on this next weekend.
Yeah.
Just a few.
Well, the thing of it is, if you're not innovative in what you do, then you're just going to be stagnant.
Jeez.
And you've got to do stuff and people love things like this.
He looked right at me when he said that.
Oh, I have to look at somebody.
It felt personal.
I know. You'll get over it.
I think what they're doing is great. I love these vendor events. Mm-hmm. I think what he's doing is wonderful. I think it's really, really cool.
It's great that he's throwing in the education, too. It's not just...
We should send Rich. Nice pool of advertisers, those vendors.
There you go.
Send him up there with a handful of business cards and a placard.
Yeah, and a donut and a bottle of anything.
Help build your business. Come to Gun Owners Radio.
Well, Orange County Gun Owners is going to be there too, so they always promote Orange County Gun Owners, and they'll always promote Gun Owners Radio. So
that's awesome.
So good. Well, cool. Well, this is going to be a great second hour. We're going to talk a little bit about
Nathan Fletcher.
Well, we are. I think we're going to.
Where is he?
We're going to touch on it. Who cares?
What rehab's he in?
Who cares?
I want to send him some flowers.
But we're going to do. We're going to talk about training for women. We're going to talk to Ken Campbell. We're going to talk to Nina and Joe. We're going to do all kinds of cool stuff.
Don't want to talk about it.
You still want to talk about Nathan?
I want to know where he's at. I'm worried. Hey, is there a better tool than empowering a woman to defend against an attacker?
No.
That's 100 pounds bigger. That's why it's so important for women to learn how to defend themselves with the most effective self-defense tool ever invented. A woman led by women. The Not Me program is designed to help with training, purchasing a gun, and getting a concealed carry permit. And guess what? It's free. To sign up, go to notmesd.org. The program is also available in Orange County and the Inland Empire. Get help today at notmesd.org. CCW training for women. Who's going to take care of Ken Campbell?
That's Big Joe.
So, Ken, Ken, are you here?
Hey, Free America calling.
Outstanding. Comrade Campbell, welcome to the People's Republic. So,
Actually, I'm even farther east than that. I'm back in Indiana. I've been at the NRA annual meeting the last 3 days.
And how was that this year?
It was grand. Grand for several reasons. Buzz Mills, Gunsite's owner, Sherry Legate, our director of marketing, Sherry Campbell, my bride and purchasing agent for the store, and myself, we were all here. Tremendous crowds. It was just a really good meeting. I'm not getting into any of the politics with NRA. It's got its own issues, but the people that are important, you, me, your listeners, the industry folks, they were all there in big attendance, well attended. I was watching the local news last night, the dozen or so protesters across the street. But anyway, it was a great show.
Well, that's great. That's good to hear, too. I like to hear it when those kinds of things are successful nowadays. But one of the things I wanted to talk to you about, Nina and I were out at Gunsite. We missed you. I think you were out cruising the one week, and then you were at the NRA conference the next week. But we'd been out there and wanted to talk to you about women and training at Gunsite because Nina, my wife, is fairly new to guns, and she did her first PCC course out there last year, and it went so well that she signed up for the 250 course, which she just finished, a week or so ago. And one of the reasons it went so well is just because of the environment there, the Gunsite family and that whole experience. But the instructors were just so good, and they're just so good at not only the technical training part of it, but just making everybody there, and particularly the women in the class and the ones that are maybe a little less experienced, just really comfortable. And it was just a great experience. And I wanted you to talk a little bit about that, about your instructors in the school and what you guys do for that.
All right, we can do that. For those that don't know, Gunsite's the world's oldest and largest privately owned firearms academy. We've been in business over 47 years, and we've always had women come to class, but it has changed greatly over these near 5 decades. It used to be it was unusual to have more than one woman in class, and now it's rare when they aren't darn near the majority in classes. We also have some ladies-only classes. Some ladies just don't want to train with men, and we're good with that, and we'll do it that way. But we take care of them. When they leave, and I don't want to speak for your wife, but when they leave, I think they feel empowered because they are safe. They know how to handle the gun. They've been through live fire shoot houses twice. They've been through outdoor simulators twice. They've had night shoots. And it's not basic training. I mean, Joe, we yelled at you and made you do push-ups, but you're different. If you want us to have you push on Arizona, we can do that. We don't need to. It's adult education. And when you're having fun, you're learning curved rockets. And that's what we do. And when you got the best instructors in the world, and it sounds real pompous or easy for me to say as a CEO, but come take a class at Gunsite and you'll see it's no brag, just fact.
Well, seeing the one thing, too, that I was thinking about when she first went out there, because she did my wife is fairly new to guns, and she did a Women on Target event out here at our club. And she got to shoot a PCC, a little carbine, and she liked it so much, I thought, okay, cool, I'll get her one for Christmas. And So I did, and she started shooting that. She was asking me, wow, does anybody have any classes on that? So I looked and, wow,
Yes,
Gunsite's
we
got
do.
one. Well, and,
Yeah.
she was real excited about it. I was a little hesitant because I'm thinking, okay, this could be either really good or really bad. If you have 5 days, shooting 8 hours a day for a new shooter, I'm thinking it's either going to be really good for her or it's going to be so bad that it'll turn her off, to shooting altogether. And it turned out that it was just such a great experience that she got really into it.
Joe, it's just like we told you, and everybody, that first class with Gunsite, it's just the gateway drug. You realize how much fun it is, how much you can learn, how good we do take care of you. We call it the epiphany, and you can't wait to come back. You're already planning before you leave, when's my next class?
Nina, how was your gateway drug?
Oh, man, it was amazing. I have to tell you, Ken, that after the PCC course, I was waiting for the new calendar to come out day by day, watching for it. And when it came out right away, we registered for the time when we could do that 250 class. And your instructors are amazing, not only because they're so expert, but they're patient, they're kind, but at the same time, safety above all. And so we were well-trained every moment. They watched us every moment to make sure we were safe. But I have to tell you, the amount of patience and the amount of individual mentoring that they were doing in addition, it was incredible. I mean, they could tell when they'd come up and say, okay, Nina, I can tell you're frustrated. Wait till this next one. We'll walk aside over here and we'll talk about what you need to do. And I'm very new to using a handgun, and I came back. I rented my gun for that week, which was a perfect thing to do. And then I came back and I went to our outdoor range, and I felt so much more confident. I felt like I understood more about what to do. So I want to thank you, and your instructors were incredible.
Well, thank you. One of the great things about ladies in class is, for lack of a better term, they listen and do. Us guys, we know all there is to know about everything, right? We've got all this machismo. Shoot, with Joe, we had to cut a switch off the juniper tree and get him on the back of the calves. But ladies listen and do, and they take learning because of that open-minded attitude they have, and your learning curve rockets, and it sounds like that's exactly what happened with you.
And the camaraderie with the group and the support from expert shooters to us people who were new was fabulous. And then the other thing was, one of the folks that I was talking to had taken a day zero class with you. And that sounds incredible also.
Day zero is something new, and we came up with that here just very recently. We're getting so many novice shooters now, much more than we used to. So as you learned on Monday, that moves along at a pretty good pace. So day zero is on Sunday, and we spend the full day. We only shoot about 50 rounds or so, maybe 100, but we spend the first full morning talking about holsters and belts and types of guns and nomenclature. And then that afternoon we go out and we introduce you to shooting. Some have never shot on a firing line before, so they get introduced to that. So when Monday comes around, it doesn't seem like when we stick that fire hose of information up to the side of your head and open the bail, not as much of it squirts on through. More of it retains. So I'm glad you got that feedback from her, and we're working on the 2024 calendar, and we've added the day zero for preceding almost every 250 class.
That's wonderful, because I have to tell you, I've got my calendar ready to go for when that 2024 calendar comes out. I'm watching.
Well, it should be, good Lord willing and the creeks don't rise, it should be around the 1st of July. No promises on that electronically is when it'll be out. So just keep watching there, because we can't wait to have you back.
Thank you so much.
So, yeah, and the other thing, one of the other things, too, about not only are the instructors and everybody just so great there, but the, gun people are just gun people. and everybody's really friendly. And we made some good friends out there, and actually a couple more that are we're looking at the gas match now for the coming year, because now there's no reason Nina can't shoot the gas match, so I'm working that angle out here. And
Gas
some other
Match
friends.
is Gunsite alumni shoot. It's a big fundraiser for 501c3s we do every year the first Saturday in October.
Yeah, and it's just such a, the thing I like about it too, coming from out here from behind enemy lines, it's nice the way you do all the ceremony. You've got the color guard in the morning, Saturday morning. Some of the things, one of the most interesting things is the flag ceremony at the dinner at night. I never knew that about the 13 folds and the tradition, and just extremely
We'll be doing that
interesting.
again this year. Yeah, this last year, this was the Young Marines presented the colors for us, which was outstanding, and then Charlie McNeese and Colonel Freddie Blish and Colonel Joe. Oh gosh darn it. Former chief of police up in Ogden, Utah. Anyway, they're in their dress blues and they perform the flag. There is a lot of reference. The table for the fallen is there, but we have a great time, and it's wonderful people. You make lifelong friends in your classes at Gunsite.
You really do. And actually, one of the women that Nina was in class with, we actually met this morning for breakfast. Ended up talking for 5 hours we were there. Yes. And, she had the same experience. She was in your day 0 class. And, again, I think I've got her on the hook for the Gunsite alumni shoot as well this year.
Wonderful. Well, I may have to put you on the marketing payroll.
You may have to do that. Actually, we have one of our San Diego County gun owner board members is out there now and is going to be in the 250 class here this week. So you'll see Jeff Malik out there if you get back in time.
All right. I will. I'm back Wednesday. I'll be here. I'm staying here an extra day. This is where I was sheriff. So this is old home week.
Let's go here. Ken, can you hang out for another segment here?
I'd love to.
Okay, great. Let's take a break. We'll be right back with you.
Never seen Bullet.
I've never seen Bullet.
It's okay. I've never seen Red Dawn. So there.
You and I should just have a slumber party.
I know we should.
We'll watch movies. We'll do each other's hair. We'll eat popcorn.
Hey, I got all the movies too.
Spaghetti.
I'm in. We'll have some spaghetti.
Oh God.
I had the best spaghetti.
Where did you have the best spaghetti?
Never mind.
No, where'd you have it?
It's this Italian place. It used to be called Moreno's down in PB, but someone just bought it a year ago. And oh my gosh, they're the best spaghetti and meatballs.
Better than Denny's?
Way better.
Wow.
Way better.
You should tell them. You should give them a compliment.
Tell them this is even better than Denny's.
Put it in a 9. Put it in a 9x12.
I don't think that she would have taken that as a compliment.
You don't think?
No.
Well, I wouldn't have told her till afterwards. All right, hey folks, a lot of companies waste an enormous amount of money on marketing. The design looks good, the photos are great, your website looks great on your phone, but it's just not getting customers. Why? Because you don't have the words that make people buy. But now you can fix that with Sage Tree. Sage Tree can help you find the words that make it easy for your customer to understand what you do and how to buy from you. Stop wasting money today and schedule a call. Getting started is easy. Visit sagetree.com and click on the Schedule an Appointment button. That's sagetree.com and click on the Schedule a Call button now.
Hey, Ken, I was wondering if I could ask you a question.
Ask me too. They're free today.
So, as an instructor, as someone who's a professional instructor and has been around for a long time and seen a lot of students, what's something, and I don't even know, maybe nothing, maybe there's no answer to this question, but is there something out there that's being taught or that is, commonly taught that's wrong?
Well,
is that a good question?
Kind of a loaded yeah, it is. It is. It's hard to say. Here's my best answer in there. There's no one answer. I'll tell the students that on Monday morning, we're not here to give you the answer. We're here to give you answers. So when, not if, when it happens to you, you've got all these tactical tools in the box. You can reach in there and find the one that's appropriate and make use of it. Now, there are some folks that training creds aren't as strong as what they could be, and they do teach some things that I find are unsafe. And you can go on YouTube. You can see some of those things, ranging from one of the biggest, worst things I see people do is they take that novice shooter out, Joe, I take your wife out and we put the big bore handgun in her hand as a novice shooter and have her shoot around in the big jumper recoil, and everybody laughs except her, and all we did was traumatize her and turn her away from shooting.
Yeah, I don't understand that either. I see that a lot. I don't get. It's not funny. I don't get it.
It's not. You know, our industry. Ben Franklin said it best, and he was speaking of the Republic. If we don't hang together, we will certainly hang separately. Well, doing things like that just drives people away from what we do. When we get, I spoke of all those new gun owners and the day zero class. But when we're doing that day zero, we don't charge much for it because I don't want to. It's capitalism. I've got to make some money, but I don't want to drive people away. I want them to be as comfortable as they can and as strong as they can be. And I think this class will make their Monday better. So I don't want to scare them away. I want to bring them in.
That's a good answer. I mean, there's a lot of gray areas. There's a lot of, preference. There's a lot of, subjective. Well, gee, I prefer this, or I like that, or this works better for me, or whatever. But I think that there's some things that are, downright right or wrong too.
Right. I think that's one of the wrong things. People get all wrapped around the axle on Weaver stance, modified Weaver, isosceles, so on. How about just have a fighting stance, a balanced fighting stance, and work with it? Simpler is better. Don't make it overcomplicated. Don't try to teach 27 safety rules. Jeff Cooper came up with 4. If you ingrain those 4 into your consciousness and make them an everyday part of your life, your chances of having a negligent discharge that is a tragedy is greatly reduced. Just simple things like that you need to promote. If you've got 27 safety rules, most people aren't going to read them, and they certainly aren't going to retain them.
There were, when I was a kid, there was one safety rule, and it was treat every gun as if it's loaded, even if it's not. And the other ones were kind of implied, pointing a gun at somebody. Well, if you're treating a gun as if it's loaded, you're not going to point it at somebody. You know what I mean? The rest of them were just kind of, be a responsible person. But I agree with you. There's the 4 safety rules. If you can just do that, if you can just teach somebody those 4 rules, you've had a successful session.
If you break one, it's not going to be a good thing, but it's probably not going to be a tragedy. Break 2. It's apt to be. So just keep those in mind and, follow those. So, again, there's just some basic things, but I'm a big believer in what Jeff Cooper did was distill things, the training techniques, the modern technique, the rules, distill them down to the simplest, easiest form. People will remember them, they'll retain them, and they work.
So, just following up on that, too, on Michael's question, Ken, because there's another thing that I hear a lot that bugs me as as a concealed carry instructor, and Alicia's here in the studio. She teaches concealed carry classes here as well. And you'll get people, and I hear instructors do this, that cite this statistic that, well, most defensive firearms, incidents happen, within 3 yards and involve 3 shots in 3 seconds. And that may be true statistically, but I think what I've seen is there are some people that don't train beyond that because they think, well, I don't have to practice. I don't have to be able to hit anything at 15 yards or 20 yards because it's not going to happen. And, it's like, well, what if your incident is not the statistically, normal one at 3 yards? And
ask that to Eli in the Greenwood Park Mall in Indiana.
Exactly.
Ask that to the gentleman in the church in Texas. I just talked to him again at the NRA show.
Oh, Jack Wilson, yeah.
Jack Wilson, thank you. Tell me again how it's all going to be at 3 yards.
Well, see, and that's and I think that's misleading for people. A friend of ours actually that works with us was shooting a match with me. We were both the same match a couple of weeks ago, and she was saying, "Well, I struggle with these long things because I don't shoot longer range. We're talking 10 yards, 12 yards at a target." And, it's like it makes me cringe when instructors say that kind of stuff, because it's not. I think it's a disservice. And it's funny you mentioned the guy in the mall in Indiana, because ever since that happened, when I'm doing my RSO shifts at the range in the morning before anybody gets there, I've figured out that on our range I could line it up diagonally where I can get a 40-yard shot, and I'll practice. I'll do a magazine. I'll just do 10 rounds just from 40 yards out, at a silhouette target just to see. And, I can consistently hit about 8 out of 10. And I never used to do that before, but I mean, you're right. It's important, and people should train that way.
And think of the benefit. You train that way, and think of how much greater your skills are going to be at that 3 foot. Should you need it at that 3 foot? But you train.
And if I start out at 3 feet or 3 yards with you, when we break contact, I want to create distance, and I may need to keep shooting. If the threat still exists, I may need to keep shooting as I'm creating that distance. So don't assume that just because it started at near contact, it's going to stay there.
Well, and that's what, and you'll hear John Correa say that kind of stuff too. The bad guy gets a vote, right? So if he pulls the gun out at 15 yards and starts shooting at you, then you could either wait until he gets closer or you could be able to shoot back.
Right. I know the young man from Greenwood. I know his attorney very well. He's a Gunsite grad, and he and I've known each other. He was one of my constituents, actually. And being from here as a law enforcement officer, some of the cops, that young man did a tremendous job, and he has never had a real training class.
You brought that guy up. I don't even remember his name, and I was just thinking to myself, what a tragedy it is that guy's not a national hero and a household name, and I mean, what an amazing job he did.
He's very private, keeps to himself. I've spoken to him. But the city of Greenwood, Indiana, recognized him as the Citizen of the Year, and where the event happened, and the NRA just recognized him with an award this last weekend as well. But he's very private. He's a mechanic at a Ford garage. He's Joe the plumber.
Yeah.
That stepped up and did the right thing and saved countless lives.
And you were saying, Ken, that he doesn't have a lot of formal training as a gun guy?
He has never had a formal class.
Wow, that's impressive.
Oh, really?
If you see the picture of his pistol, he'd had a motorcycle crash, and the front sight, it's a stock Glock 19. The front sight was kind of chewed up, and the back sight was kind of chewed up, and he still got the hits. As Jeff Cooper said, it's the man, it's not the gun.
Wow, so I didn't know that, actually. That's good. He was carrying the same gun I carry. Excellent. But
I'm done training. I'm not going to train anymore after hearing that.
Not the way you're supposed to take that.
Wait a minute. I want to interject here as a 250 grad. One of the other things I want to say is the drills that they had us do were amazing. So I have to tell you, Ken, at the outdoor range just this last week after getting back, I was practicing those drills. So
wonderful.
You all kept saying, remember, this is a perishable skill. So
yes,
those
and it's
those
not a
drills
high
were
round
wonderful.
count drill.
Say that
it's
again.
Not high round count. It's not a high round count drill, so you aren't expending lots of ammo. But what you're doing is quality.
Yes, absolutely. And I felt so much more confident. Thank you.
No, thank you. That's right there is the best advertising I can have in the whole world.
So, yeah, that's, like I said, everybody that, I've taken classes up there. Now my wife has been there twice. We'll be coming back again soon. We'll be back for gas match for sure. But
hopefully we won't have the monsoon rain dump on us.
That was, well, you know what? That was the best part for me because, I was shooting with a friend, and we, just by coincidence, we finished just before that happened. So we were back in the tent. And one of the things I really miss, because I grew up in New Jersey, and we used to get thunderstorms every summer, and I really miss those because we really don't get them out here in San Diego. So that was like icing on the cake for me, to get to see a good thunderstorm and a good downpour like that, and to be watching it from the tent.
Oh yeah, but we carried on. Well, we improvised, adapt, overcome, and still had the great barbecue dinner and the great prize table and so on. It's just a grand day when we have the gas match.
A self-defense event happens in seconds, and in the time it takes to listen to the commercial, your life could change forever. I pray you're never forced to shoot in self-defense, but if you must, then you must be ready. That's why the USCCA exists, because every responsibly armed American should have the training and education to navigate a self-defense situation. And should you ever need it, the 24/7 critical response team is right there for you. To discover more about USCCA, visit uscca.com/GOR. Act now because the life you save could be your own. USCCA.com/GOR.
All right, it's time for everybody's favorite segment, Stump My Nephew. Sam the Gunman is, of course, my nephew, and we found out a few years ago that he's extremely good with firearms trivia. So if you send us a question and we use it, you get a hat or a shirt, and if you stump my nephew, you get a special prize. So this week's question is going to, first off, Sam, are you there?
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh. We got Sam on the line?
Panic.
Sam the Gunman.
Hey, how are you guys?
There he is. Good, man. How are you?
Not bad.
So we got a former principal to we flew her in and just to ask this question, and we figure if we're gonna quiz you, we better get an academic professional in here to do it right.
Like, this is your life.
Uh-oh.
There you go.
Yeah.
So Nina, go for it.
All right. So, Sam, I have to tell you that I'm a big fan because I've listened to you for many years. So here we go. I'm hoping you've got this. What gun manufacturer?
Who's it from? Who wrote
Okay.
it? Yep.
So
That's
thank
okay.
you to Kendra from Dallas
Thank you.
for this fabulous question. What gun manufacturer has the highest revenue?
Kendra from Dallas, thanks for writing in. What gun manufacturer has the highest revenue? And that's a tough one because a lot of different brands are owned by the same holding company. Man, that is really a tough question. Part of me wants to say CZ Group because they own Colt, so that would now be included. But I think,
Can I give
what
a
I
hint?
think I'm going
And
what?
Go ahead.
I just want to give a little bit of a hint that the answer in the data comes from 2022, if that helps.
The answer to the data comes from 2022. That's good too. But the way they originally phrased the question, I don't know if this helps or hurts. What's the largest gun brand?
The largest gun brand. Okay, so largest in terms of revenue. So as I said, part of me wants to say CZ Group because they also own Colt. Another possible answer might be Remington, but they've been in and out of business, so I don't know what their revenue looks like right now. But the answer I think I'm going to go with, is Sig Sauer because they're in so many different segments of the market and they have so many active military and law enforcement contracts.
Nina, read the answer.
I like his logic, though.
Okay, so it says, founded in 1816, Remington Outdoors takes the top spot with an annual revenue of $950 million in 2022. One of the first guns it produced was a flintlock rifle. Smith & Wesson and Beretta round up the top three.
Pretty interesting. Talk about SIG, though.
That was a good question.
That was a good question. Now, you said that SIG is in so many different segments. Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, they've been. First off, who sent in the question again?
That was Kendra from Dallas.
Kendra from Dallas. Great question. You got me. That was a really tough one. When I say SIG is expanding into different market segments, if you asked someone, 20, 30 years ago, they would probably say, oh, they make the P226, and then that person would struggle to come up with some other firearms. That's not to say they didn't make other firearms. It's just that was their one that people really knew them for. But they've really been aggressively expanding into like now they make machine guns. Now they're making a much wider variety of rifles. They just got a couple of U.S. military contracts within the past 5-6 years or so. They're really trying to diversify their business and really provide anything a military or law enforcement customer around the world might need. It's clever business.
Well, what's a Remington? What's a pretty standard pistol? If you're going to go buy a handgun, maybe to carry or for home defense, what Remington are you going to buy?
Remington has had a lot of trouble with its pistol line. They've had the 1911 R1, which is a 1911, a line of 1911s actually, and those were fine. There's nothing really special about them, but it's got the Remington name, so you get Remington customer support for what that's worth. They had a model called the R51 several years ago, but those were real lemons. So they discontinued production before ultimately going out of business. So really the R1 has been their mainstay in the pistol line, at least.
Which isn't that popular. But they do have a Remington 700, a Remington 870, and then they have their AR. Those three right there. And then they have a huge they're very well represented in the hunting. I can see that. I see it's almost like I can see the breadth of Remington taking them to the heights of revenue like that. That makes sense.
There's also something I didn't even think of, and this now makes sense, is there's the ammunition business, which I think they're now separate companies. They were bought by different companies when Freedom Group was broken up. But if we're counting Remington ammunition and Remington arms together, I can imagine that would be a huge number in terms of revenue.
Freedom Group? Is that Freedom Group, man? What is Freedom Group? What does that make? What's involved in Freedom Group?
Freedom Group was a holding company that owned Remington and several other brands, and they went into bankruptcy a couple of years ago, and all their assets were broken up and sold to different bidders. So like AAC, for example, is now owned by the same parent company as Palmetto State Armory. Remington proper was bought out by a different company, I think an Italian group, and they're now back in production making shotguns and rifles again. All sorts of other companies like that. Freedom Group was just a holding company that owned Remington.
So if you thought that within the next 3 years the assault weapons ban in California and other states were going to go away, the roster was going to go away, the magazine bans are going to go away. If you thought all these things were going to happen in the next, let's say, 3 years, which company would you invest in? What would you buy stock in?
Me personally?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Well, personally, SIG, because of all the military and law enforcement contracts. I don't particularly like their products better than anyone else's, but they're really eyeing that contract money and not as much civilian market sales. But if we were just talking California,
but really the question is, who's going to benefit the most from these laws disappearing?
I would say probably Smith & Wesson, because they have long, not that they don't try to get police contracts as well, but Smith & Wesson has a long history of really leaning into the civilian market. And apart from shotguns, which they don't sell, well, they have one, but it's not good. They used to have more shotguns, but they have long guns and handguns for almost any possible use case in the civilian market, especially stuff that's banned in California right now.
Interesting. All right, what was last week's article on?
Last week's blog post was on the topic of crap, I did it again.
He did it again.
That's good,
Yeah.
Sam. I did
Wah,
exactly the same stuff. He would ask me those questions, and it's, what did I write? What did I write? I know I did.
I got to tell you, that would be an interesting article for either of you to write. Is who do you think is going to benefit most from, which company is going to benefit most from, the assault weapons ban disappearing, the roster disappearing, all these guns. All these anti-gun laws disappearing. Who do you think will benefit most?
And
That'd be an interesting analysis.
I would look at it more from the handgun manufacturers because, that's what people buy a lot of, and that's what, like, all the Glock Gen 4s, Gen 5s, the SIG, the P226. Is that one? Which one? I think the 365 is not on the roster out here.
So
that's a big one.
So the top 3 states, if you look at amount of guns registered, top 3 states are Texas, Florida, and then number 3 is California. So California, all those guns, basically you're opening up. So we have the third highest number of guns owned, by that measure, and every single gun owner in California will suddenly become a customer again because everything will open up. Everybody that has a Gen 3 Glock now wants a Gen 5 Glock. all this stuff, the Hellcat, the SIG, what is it, 365,
We've been stifled for so long. We're going to go buy one of everything.
Yeah. So you know what I mean?
Just because we can.
What's California, the 7th biggest economy in the U.S. or whatever? I mean, there's all these indicators that if this thing opens up, and Massachusetts, Illinois, not exactly small markets, but California is enormous. And if we get rid of all these bans, I just think it'll be really interesting to see who benefits. What?
So you're going to go buy
flowing.
stock?
Well, maybe I should. I can't. But
you used to be a banker.
Well, that's true. There's only a couple of publicly traded firearms stocks out there, though. Like, you can't buy stock in Glock.
Right.
Ruger and Smith & Wesson. I know Ruger and Smith & Wesson you can invest in, but I don't know about others.
Right.
By the way, Sam?
Yes.
Your blog? Why don't we have
It
smart
was
guns?
about smart guns. I just looked it up.
See, I was vamping for you. So
There you go.
All right, you want to touch on that real quick? We only have like 10 or maybe 15.
Yep.
We got no time.
But now that you remembered it,
Gave
we'll
them a
talk about
teaser
it
if they
next
have
week.
to go online.
Thanks for watching this episode from Gun Owners Radio. If you're watching mainstream media, you're not getting the truth about guns and the Second Amendment. Gun Owners Radio is the easiest way to stay on top of the Second Amendment fight, the fight for your self-defense rights. You can watch our live stream on YouTube every Sunday from 4 to 6 p.m. California time, or if you're in San Diego, AM 1170, FM 96.1, The Answer. We're also available on your favorite podcast platform. Just do a search for Gun Owners Radio and you'll find our show. Don't forget to support our sponsors. Click on the links in the show notes and support the businesses that support your Second Amendment rights. Like and subscribe to help defend and restore the Second Amendment, not just in California, but across the country.